Another mix tip from CLA. Here we are. Pick the plugins that your go-to plugins are and try to put them in your shortcut menu, okay? If you know in Pro Tools when you can pick a plugin, you can put plugins in your shortcut menu, okay? So think about what are the top 3 plugins you use or top 5 plugins that you're gonna use in a mix, all right? Put them in your shortcut menu so when your mind is thinking about EQ or compression or limiting or whatever, or reverb, what are the things you go to? Obviously, they're all Waves plugins, so it's really easy to put in the shortcuts menu. So put those in the shortcuts menu so you're not fishing every time you want to modify a sound.
So let me ask you, what are a couple of the plugins that you've got in your shortcut menu?
Well, there's all the CLA ones.
Pretty logical.
All right, funny. Okay, to be honest with you, to be really honest with you, the signature plugins. Okay, there'll be the effects plugin because I use that as a return. There'll be the 1176s because I use that for vocals. There'll be the L1 because I use that to flatten out signal ratio. There's the H delay and the H reverb. So those are in my common ones. Okay, and then of course there's the SSL EQ. Now I use that. So that's another mix tip right there. Is use the shortcut place to take the effort and put the plugins you use in that shortcut. So when you open up to add a plugin, boom, it's right there. You don't have to fish through reverb and that saves a lot of time. It's really easy to populate all your tracks. If you're going to use an SSL EQ from Waves, populate every track with it. It doesn't have to be in right away if you know you're going to use it, okay? Skip the first spot. You have plugins or 5, skip the first spot and always start your plugins at the second spot. Always leave it because you always end up moving them because you're always like, oh, I need to put an EQ before this or I need to put a trim plugin. Always leave the first spot open. Always leave a seat open in the car so everyone doesn't have to move every time. So if you put 3 plugins in a row and you're like, oh, I got to put something first. You already have that spot always open. Never start with the first spot, leave that open and start with the second spot. Okay, populate your song with all the plugins you think you may need, okay? And use that as part of your setup before you start pushing faders. This way, when you go, you can react quicker because your plugins are already there. Pre-populate the tracks with what you think you're gonna use.
It's great because it sounds like you're almost turning your DAW into the way a mixing console. When you sit down, at a real SSL, it's all there in front of you. You don't have to think about, wait, I got to put the EQ in the compressor and that. And that's kind of what you're saying. Set up your DAW so it's like a console. You don't have to use everything at once. Just what you love, put it in there, and that's great. Leave that top spot open so you don't, cut yourself short.
Exactly. It's a lot easier to look at your session, look at what's in there, pre-populate it with everything. If you want to use, vocal plugins on the vocals. If you want to create a channel strip for the drums, use drum plugins. Pre-populate it with plugins you know that you think you might use. You can always get rid of them, but it's a lot harder during the course of mixing to keep adding and adding and adding. If you kind of pre-populate them with the ones you may use, if you have to change them out, it's great, but at least you can start with them there, and then as you're listening to a bounce, you can pop them in on presets and go, this is working.
Yeah, you don't have to cut your creativity in the middle. Now,
exactly.
Quick bonus question, because you said something about putting SSL all over. If you were to do that, E channel or G channel, what do you go for
channel.
first?
E channel.
There you have it.